howdy, welcome to Hang the Critic with Josh Ball. I'm Josh Ball and this is Hang the Critic. And we are back with our underrated directors list. I know you can stop crying yourselves to sleep. This week, I thought I'd talk about a relatively unknown director. He mainly does the odd independent film. He's a very underrated director called Christopher Nolan. Yeah. No. I want to talk about Christopher Nolan. A, because I went to see Tenet recently. Tenet. Yes. I went to see Tenet recently and really enjoyed it. And B, I have been accused in the past of not being a huge fan of Christopher Nolan. While that may be true, I'm not a huge fan. I do naturally recognize that Christopher Nolan is a brilliant director, and he's done some marvelous work. But today I thought I'd try to set the record straight. The first thing that I saw of Christopher Nolan's was Batman Begins. I'm a huge fan of Batman, and it was the return to the screen of The Dark Knight. I remember the trailers coming out, and I went to see it, and here's the story. I didn't see the end of the movie, because I got scared by the scarecrow causing hallucinations and stuff like that. And as I've said in a previous episode, I was a kid who was scared of everything. So I actually walked out of the cinema, and it wasn't until it came out on DVD that I actually saw how the movie ended. After Batman and Robin, which didn't do that well, it took Christopher Nolan to inject it with a new life and go in a radically different direction, making it very down-to-earth, gritty, and realistic. As a result, a lot of the elements in the Batman comic book universe, which are very, heightened and stylized, strong fantasy elements, they were reinterpreted to make them more down-to-earth. I actually think Batman Begins is one of my favorite Batman movies, and probably one of my personal favorite Christopher Nolan movies.
Your parents' death was not your fault. It was your father's.
The Dark Knight was really good, but then, it got really, really popular and everyone was going, oh, this is the best Batman ever, and oh, this is the best comic book movie ever, oh, this was the best movie ever, and Heath Ledger's performance is the best performance ever. I don't agree, personally, in my own opinion, with any of those statements. I have to admit, that kind of hit me quite hard, and I was looking deliberately for excuses as to why I thought it was not a good movie. I've thrown that all out the window. The beauty of Batman, and the reason why Batman has such longevity as a character, is because he's so freely available for reinterpretation. Christopher Nolan's version of Batman, it worked for his movies. Naturally, Heath Ledger's interpretation of the Joker is amazing. He gave such a strong performance there.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. You can't feel the neck. See?
Dark Knight Rises was a bit of a disappointment, I have to admit. That was the point where I kind of felt that the realism was butting heads with the style of Batman. It was leading to gaps in logic. Moving on. After Batman Begins, The Prestige came out, and The Prestige, to me, genuinely brilliant movie. Back when it was just on Facebook and I was doing my first list, which was the cinematic masterpieces, The Prestige was on that list. That is where I think Christopher Nolan really shines, is when he plays with the narrative. I love movies that play with narrative structure. It's a magic trick. It's a magic trick in the style of a film with amazing performances. So yeah, I genuinely love that movie. I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets, really.
But you wouldn't clap yet. Because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back.
Then I went back and I watched Memento. And again, Memento, wow, Guy Pearce, I always loved Guy Pearce. He's a brilliant actor, makes me proud to be Australian. Again, another movie that brilliantly plays with the narrative. If you're not aware, Memento begins with the last scene and ends with the first scene. And it's played in reverse chronological order. That's genius. One thing I will say that Christopher Nolan really excels at is he takes philosophical and existential concepts, which have been around and talked about and expressed in film since the dawn of the film industry, in books since the dawn of the written word, and in speech since the dawn of people were able to speak. He takes them and he makes them accessible. I think, on the whole, people are generally fascinated by existential concepts. I certainly am. I am both fascinated and terrified by them. It's all fun until it gets to the point where it's just terrifying. and I shrink into a ball and I cry myself to sleep. You have to be on the wavelength of the movie, and I've said this before. There has to be a draw to it. I love the works of Terry Gilliam, but I've heard people say that they can be a bit impenetrable, and there are many films of that sort, like the work of Michael Gondry and Charlie Kaufman. Being John Malkovich, a good example of entering someone's subconscious that's interpreted in Inception and those sort of films. The beauty of Christopher Nolan is that he takes those concepts and he presents them in the form, of an action movie with those stunts, chases, gunfights and stuff like that he's very fond of using. Much like Ridley Scott in that regard. They're the framework for these brilliant philosophies and existential notions.
Never recreate places from your memory. Always imagine new places.
Why not?
Because building a dream from your memory is the easiest way to lose your grasp on what's real and what is a dream.
To my lasting shame, I am yet to see Dunkirk or Interstellar.
Shame. Bad vampire.
Don't hit me with things. I will have to watch that. They might be on my to-watch list. But Tenet. It was a good movie. Nolan and time travel, it was something that had to happen sooner or later. I won't go into it too much because I know how everyone's like, no, don't tell me anything, I want to find out. And that's great. Yeah, I think that people should be like that with every movie that comes out. In summation, I take back some of the things I've said in the past, not on YouTube, but to people in person, about Christopher Nolan. Definitely go see Tenet, if only to have it beat out Mulan on the box office. That's all I got for this episode. Join me next time. Check out on Instagram, on Facebook. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree with my thoughts. Go ahead, comment below. Keep watching movies, and I'll see you when I see you.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.